Just thought I'd do a quick discussion video. I've had a couple of people in real life, real life being the life beyond YouTube and social media, real contacts in real time, ask me about starting a YouTube channel, what it's like, how long it takes and all that. And of course there's no definitive answer. It takes some people only a few months to develop content and start monetizing. It takes some people longer. Depends what tools, what niche you get into. You need a niche really for YouTube. I think it's easier if you sort of dial into a very specific area like electric guitars or budget guitars. I'd say that the hardest thing that you might have to deal with, luckily I've not had much of this to contend with thus far. I've had one or two, but nothing serious, is sometimes the acerbic nature of the comment section, I think, is perhaps one of the harder elements. And I think you have to be quite thick-skinned, really. You can be one of these people who just deletes everything negative or questioning. I don't tend to do that unless it's abusive. But you can attract some rather unsavory comments in response to whatever you put up, and sometimes it won't be anything to do with what you're doing or talking about, but just what you look like or something like that, or maybe something you say or somebody doesn't take to a particular presentation style, or how you play. I find that a lot. I was recently watching a video by Mary Spender, who is a local to my area. I'm interested in her content because she operates out of this area and has become quite successful over the last few years, and in an interesting meld of performance videos and videos about the music business, and also dipping a little bit into gear and guitars and stuff like that. And I happen to be on a particular video. It doesn't really matter what it is. And I would say that she's probably one of the most successful YouTubers in the music sphere, even hobnobbing with the likes of Rick Beato and others. So this is not a sympathy video by any means. I think she's doing a lot better than most of us. However, I was on one particular video and I was kind of caught off guard with just how nasty this little section of the comments were. And it had to do with a video where she played one of her original songs, which is quite bold, really, to put yourself out there, to put your music out there, to play it live and to film it, and to lay yourself bare for sort of critique. And most musicians welcome constructive criticism. I mean, it's better than bland approval, isn't it? It's better to get something involving, some sort of thought, rather than just sort of a lukewarm acceptance. At least you're getting a response. But there was 2 or 3 people in the comments who got very personal and wrote some really rather nasty things about her particular music, her style, her singing, critiquing, the song in question and her music in general, and saying this is why you haven't made it, blah blah blah. And 1 or 2 getting, personal. You don't have the right look. You're not edgy enough. You're too bland or whatever. And it just sort of reminded me of how, well, the word is nasty, isn't it? Vitriolic, maybe, people can get on this particular platform. I'm very lucky in that I get a negative or a nasty comment, I don't know, every few weeks or months, not that often. Most people are fairly supportive. 1 or 2 people complain about little things that don't really bother me. Some people complain and I take it on board. I think it's fair enough criticism. I don't really get the nasty stuff that much. 1 or 2 people have gotten a little bit, on the sort of scathing, personal, abusive side in dealing with other comments in the section. or making comments about appearance or playing style, something like that, which is a bit unnecessary. But I tend to just ignore those people, or snap back with something comical in response to disarm the comment, if you like. And I can't help thinking that some of the nasty comments I saw on that particular video, and this is just an example, it really has nothing to do with this particular user, it's just I'm using this as an example in point. But I couldn't help thinking and reading some of the more acerbic comments that she wouldn't have received them if she were a bloke. It just seemed that they were a little bit sexist leaning, or demeaning in those terms, if you like. And it's unfortunate that you get that on YouTube, but on the other hand, you do want free speech. You don't want it to be too monitored. You don't want to be too sanitized in what you can say on YouTube, and you get some really abusive stuff. I've seen comments that on other platforms would be banned for being disparaging, slightly threatening, or just discriminatory on whatever level, gender, race, accent, religion, belief, sexual preference, that kind of thing. It's certainly not acceptable in most workplaces. So if you consider this as a job for some people, they're having to deal with responses they wouldn't receive in a normal workplace. Now, you might not have any empathy for that, thinking, well, it's a pretty easy job to just sit there and make content. And a lot of these people start making decent money and are able to quit their day jobs. And you might not have sympathy for that. However, I'm a big believer that people are people, and everyone deserves to be treated with a modicum of respect until they lose that respect by doing something or saying something that deserves a risible response. But some people don't have that sort of standard etiquette on YouTube, and you have to be ready for it. And every once in a while, if you're going to have a channel where you're going to present on here, or you're going to play your own music, or play your instrument, you're going to receive not just critique, which I think is fair game, but you're going to receive some rather ugly commentary that may go beyond just a mere reflection or response to what you're doing, becoming more personal, more attack-minded. So I would say that's probably the thing that is going to be hard for most people. Everybody deals with it differently. Some people have a rather thick shell and they just never respond on the comments. They don't get involved. I've seen a lot of big YouTubers that just don't have any sort of relationship with the comment section. You never see them on there. You never see them respond. And then there are others like me who feel like it's their duty, if someone takes the time to watch and make a comment, to maybe comment back or acknowledge the time that somebody has spent in watching and responding to that particular video. That's particularly how I feel personally. So I do check the comments, and I do respond, try to respond to everyone, which is not always easy. But and you do come across some unsavory commentary here and there, some stuff that you might not like, and I think some people get it worse than others for whatever reason. So you got to be kind of ready for that. That's something that it could happen. Years ago, I used to get involved in political and social debate on social media because I like debate. I taught it. I've been involved in it. I like the art of a good debate. I come from the British parliamentary system where you can't be a politician if you can't debate. So I think it's an important part of society to be able to stand your ground and dialogue with others in a responsible and respectful way, of course, respecting of the rules of debate as well. So I used to do that quite a lot, but then I just ran into so many people that resort to slander or straw man arguments, just completely recontextualizing what you've said, or just ad hominem, attacking you on a different level outside of what you're supposed to be debating, getting personal and stuff like that. And I really got tired of dealing with those types of people, so I just stopped. I just absolutely stopped. Not because I don't like debate anymore. It's just I just found that there are too many people that spoil that particular area for public debate. They poison the well, if you so to speak, and it just you spend most of your time, like responding to people who can't debate, who have no idea how debate works, and they just go into personal attack or ad hominem mode very, very quickly, and it gets abusive. So I just stopped doing it, and I can understand how people get that way about YouTube as well, because it can become quite vitriolic, depending on what you're presenting or what you come across as a presenter. So that's one thing I would say that you have to have a stomach for, and you have to sort of figure out a response for, whether you want to be involved, don't want to be involved, how far you take it, how far you monitor it, how far you, how much you allow of other people, how far you let them go on your particular content pages. There's an argument to be had there, whether you subject people to screening or don't. I'm sure we all have our opinions on that, but it can be a area that's particularly difficult to deal with in this particular mode of communication. So yeah, that's just my take on the whole thing. There's a lot of you out there that watch my videos that do your own, have your own channels, have your own experiences. I always enjoy hearing back about your particular experience, so some of which I resonate with and some of which surprises me. Some of you have very different experiences because you're working in other areas, and I think it can change a little bit depending on what your particular niche is. Music shouldn't be that contentious. I suppose if you have a channel where you are presenting political ideals or philosophical ideals, it's going to be more contentious by nature. Whereas if you're presenting your hobby, whether it's needlecraft or woodworking, usually you don't run into those types of inflamed conversations. So, but it can happen. People get their hair up over everything, don't they? And it's quite easy to ignite a flame, that sort of scorches the whole comment section rather quickly. Anyway, folks, just my thoughts on the issue, and I'll be back with another video soon.